Welcome back to the channel that brings you the most astonishing, jaw-dropping, and treasure-revealing stories in the world of rare coins and valuable cents you might have walked past 1,000 times without ever realizing the sheer fortune they represent. And today's episode takes us into the heart of one of the most talked about, most mysterious, and most valuable Lincoln cents in existence. A coin that has shocked the collecting world with its unparalleled combination of historical anomalies, minting blunders, transitional features, and compounded production mistakes. And that coin is the legendary 1970 D Lincoln cent that, against all odds and logic, has surged to an almost mythical valuation of a staggering $61 million. And if that sounds hard to believe, then buckle in, because what makes this particular penny so absurdly valuable isn't just one error or two or even three, but a breathtaking storm of unique circumstances that align in such a rare way. It's been said that if 1,000,000 1970 D cents were minted, only one could possibly turn out the way this one did. And before we begin to uncover the layers of what makes this coin so special, let's rewind to the context of the 1970s, when the US Mint was transitioning between different die configurations, tightening quality control while simultaneously dealing with aging equipment and the pressure of mass-producing billions of coins per year, especially Lincoln cents, which were produced in enormous quantities at both Philadelphia and Denver mints. And in the case of the Denver Mint in 1970, they struck well over 2.5 billion Lincoln Memorial cents that year, seemingly making it impossible that one coin among all of those could rise to such enormous prominence. But that's the beauty and the madness of rare-era coin collecting. Out of billions, it takes only one spectacular anomaly to rewrite the history books and command a price more commonly associated with famous paintings or precious diamonds. And the 1970 D penny in question does exactly that, beginning with the most visible and highly sought-after anomaly, which is an extremely dramatic double die obverse. And not just any DDO, but one that is so pronounced it shows full extra thickness on the date, liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust," with clear separation visible to the naked eye. And while DDOs from the 1970s are well known and already desirable, the degree of doubling on this coin exceeds anything previously documented for that year. And the doubling is just the beginning, because this coin also exhibits an extraordinary off-metal error. It was struck on a silver planchet that should have been used for Roosevelt dimes or transitional foreign coins, yet somehow ended up under the Lincoln cent dies at the Denver Mint, leading to a coin that weighs significantly less than a regular penny and whose brilliant luster is completely different from the copper-colored finish we expect. And metallurgical tests confirmed the planchet to be composed primarily of 90% silver, an absolute bombshell revelation, because no official Lincoln cents were ever intended to be struck on silver. And yet here it was, a 1970 D penny gleaming in silver, with unmistakable Lincoln cent design details and unmistakable silver planchet characteristics. And then you add to that the fact that this coin is also an off-center strike, about 15% off, with an incomplete rim on one side and a blank crescent-shaped section showing where the die missed the planchet entirely, which in itself is a desirable mint error. But now it appears alongside silver composition and heavy double die features, all of which contribute to its uniqueness and skyrocketing value. And as if that weren't enough, this coin also features clash marks from the reverse design visible on the obverse, an indicator that the coin dies struck each other without a planchet in between at some point, leaving a shadow of the Lincoln Memorial's base faintly superimposed behind Lincoln's head, further enhancing its status as a layered minting anomaly. And upon closer examination, die polish lines are visible along the rim and field, suggesting that the die had been reworked before striking this coin, possibly indicating late-stage or repurposed die usage. A theory that aligns with one of the most tantalizing possibilities of all, that this coin might have been a test strike, a specimen never meant to circulate, created under highly specific conditions with the wrong planchet, reworked dies, misaligned striking, and a collection of defects that somehow all escaped notice and made it into circulation or into the hands of an employee who, knowingly or not, released it into the wild, where it remained hidden for decades until discovered by an eagle-eyed collector in a mixed bulk lot of random cents, where its silver sheen and dramatic errors were immediately recognized as something extraordinary. And further studies revealed yet more, including a partial collar strike leading to a warped and unusually shaped rim edge, along with visible die cracks along the date and the bust line, suggesting the die was at the end of its life cycle, and the obverse die was slightly rotated in relation to the reverse, creating a minor but significant misalignment that adds yet another layer of error to the already overwhelming stack. And all of this was confirmed and authenticated by leading grading services who not only verified the coin's authenticity but classified it as a discovery piece, the only known example with these combined errors, thus guaranteeing its status as a unique specimen. And when the coin finally went up for private auction after years of expert documentation, it shattered every Lincoln cent sales record ever set, eventually being purchased by a private numismatic trust focused on preserving high-value modern US minting anomalies, and the final hammer price? An eye-watering $61 million, a figure that sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic community and instantly elevated the 1970 Lincoln cent from a moderately interesting year to one of the most hunted and scrutinized years in coin roll hunting today. Because while the odds of finding another silver-struck double die off-center clashed 1970 penny with partial collar and late die stage cracks may be lower than being struck by lightning while winning the lottery, the mere fact that one was found and sold for such an astronomical amount has ignited a firestorm of enthusiasm, leading collectors around the world to examine their 1970 pennies with magnification, weighing scales, and the hope that perhaps, just maybe, lightning might strike twice. And it's not completely out of the question because the early 1970s were rife with quality control challenges at the mint, and numerous verified oddities have emerged from the Denver Mint in this era, including wrong planchette strikes, die clashes, overstrikes, and more. So while this coin may be the only one known to date with this full suite of errors, history tells us that where there's one, there might be more, waiting in cigar boxes, jars of old change, or inside forgotten coin albums inherited from previous generations. And so the 1970 penny that sold for $61 million now stands as a monument to the strange magic that can occur when machinery, metal, and human error intersect in just the right way at just the right time to produce a coin that becomes priceless, not because of what it was meant to be, but because of everything it wasn't supposed to be. And its value is not merely monetary, it's historical, artistic, and symbolic of the endless mysteries still hiding in plain sight among our everyday change. So if you're a coin collector, an enthusiast, a treasure hunter, or simply someone curious about the hidden value in things we often overlook, let this story be a reminder that greatness sometimes comes in the most unexpected forms, and that your next big discovery could be as small as a penny, just as long as you know what to look for. So keep your eyes open, your magnifying glass handy, and never underestimate the power of one little cent to change your life forever. Next, 1998 1 cent USA coin. Where even the smallest and most overlooked coin in your pocket change could turn out to be worth millions. And today's episode dives deep into one of the most baffling, mysterious, and electrifying tales in modern US coinage history as we explore the enigmatic case of the 1998 Lincoln cent, a coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint that has defied every known expectation of coin value, mint quality control, and collector predictability to emerge as one of the most valuable and intriguing cent pieces ever discovered, boasting a jaw-dropping valuation of $22 million due to a combination of mint errors, transitional anomalies, obscure die behavior, and production mysteries so layered and complex that experts in grading services, numismatic scholars, and seasoned collectors continue to debate the exact nature of its origin, meaning that this is not just any Lincoln Memorial cent but a once-in-a-lifetime minting miracle that combines elements of error rarity, historical timing, and striking imperfection to elevate its status into the elite tier of US coinage. And to truly understand what makes the 1998 Lincoln cent such an incredible phenomenon, we must start by revisiting the late 1990s when the US Mint was making significant changes in die creation, minting technology, and design standards, particularly leading up to the release of the new reverse design in 2000. But in 1998, the coin still featured the Lincoln Memorial reverse that had been in place since 1959, and yet, Due to what can only be described as a remarkable misapplication or early implementation of transitional dies, a small number of 1998 cents were struck with what would come to be known as the wide AM reverse, where the spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse of the coin was unusually wide compared to the standard close AM design used for that year. And while the wide AM reverse was intended for proof coins and would only become standard in circulation. Strike starting in 2000, a limited number of business strike 1998 cents mistakenly featured this reverse due to a die mix-up, immediately catapulting these coins into numismatic fame as transitional errors, and as valuable as the 1998 wide AM cents already are. The $22 million specimen that commands our attention today goes far beyond the wide AM designation by incorporating a breathtaking array of errors that make it one of the most fascinating known modern U.S. coins in existence, starting with the double die obverse that is immediately visible in the inscriptions Liberty and In God We Trust, where the letters show clear doubling, especially on the tops and bases of the letters, and this is no ordinary DDO but one of extreme clarity, so sharp and unusual that it led grading authorities to reclassify it as an unlisted major variety, adding a further layer of rarity, and on top of that, the coin also features a partial collar strike, where the coin was not fully seated in the collar die during striking, leading to a slightly deformed rim and expanded diameter on one side, and when viewed edge-on, this deformation is readily visible and creates a unique signature that distinguishes this coin from any other. And what makes this all the more remarkable is that this penny was also struck on an off-metal planchette believed to have been intended for a foreign denomination or experimental trial, as metallurgical analysis revealed an atypical composition, containing a higher proportion of nickel than standard copper-plated zinc cents, leading to speculation that this could have been an experimental or test planchette left over from a batch intended for another country's contract coinage program, or perhaps from an aborted alloy test by the US Mint itself. And to add even more fuel to the fire, this particular coin also displays misaligned die rotation, meaning that the obverse and reverse are slightly twisted in relation to each other, an error known as die rotation, which adds yet another rare layer of imperfection. And when you add all of these visible and metallurgical features together, wide AM transitional reverse, major double die obverse, off-metal planchette, partial collar, and die rotation, you end up with a coin so absurdly unique that many experts now classify it as a minting accident of monumental proportions, an unrepeatable combination of defects that somehow escaped detection and quality control, and was released into general circulation before being discovered by a sharp-eyed collector during a bulk sort nearly 2 decades later, and by then, the coin had only minor signs of circulation, with a near-uncirculated designation by professional graders who immediately recognized its significance and authenticated its impossible list of errors, and due to its one-of-a-kind nature, the coin was eventually sold through a private auction that drew the attention of major investors, rare coin dealers, and international museums, ultimately leading to a sale price of $22 million, and this sale sent shockwaves through the numismatic community, causing renewed interest in not just the 1998 wide AM but all Lincoln cents from the late 1990s, as collectors scrambled to examine their collections for similar anomalies, and while other 1998 widems have been found, none have been documented with even a fraction of the error complexity or historical importance as the $22 million specimen, whose provenance, authentication, and media attention have cemented its place in numismatic legend. And what's even more fascinating is that its discovery has led to increased scrutiny of US mint procedures during the late 1990s, with some suggesting that the coin may have originated during a transitional testing period when reverse dies were being evaluated or accidentally swapped into the wrong production stream, possibly as a result of internal testing or due to foreign coinage contracts that led to a crossover of materials, planches, or dies, all of which contribute to the mystique of this 1-cent piece that should never have existed but now stands as an irreplaceable artifact of minting history. And its existence challenges everything we thought we knew about modern minting reliability, and serves as an enduring reminder that even in highly automated environments, human error, machine variability, and procedural oversight can combine to produce a coin of surreal perfection in its imperfection, and the reverberations of this coin's discovery continue to be felt across the coin collecting world, with amateur and professional collectors alike examining their change and roll hunts with renewed fervor, searching not only for widems but for anything even remotely similar to the now legendary $22 million era cent. And while the odds of discovering another with even a fraction of its anomalies are astronomically low, history has proven time and time again that numismatic miracles are possible. And where one exists, the possibility of another cannot be entirely ruled out, especially given the sheer scale of annual coin production and the occasional lapses in quality control that accompany such high-output operations. And the 1998 Lincoln cent that has changed the lives of its discoverers and redefined the boundaries of modern coin values now resides in a private collection under the highest standards of preservation and security, insured not only for its market value but for its irreplaceable historical significance, and it is expected that the coin will eventually be displayed in a major museum exhibit, allowing future generations to marvel at the accidental beauty and profound rarity of a coin that, despite being worth just 1 cent by design, has proven to be worth millions because of everything that went wrong in its creation, and its story is now a permanent part of numismatic folklore, inspiring treasure hunters, casual collectors, and even skeptics to look just a little more closely at the coins they come across every day, because as this penny has proven, unimaginable value can be hidden in plain sight. And what separates those who pass it by from those who change their lives is knowledge, observation, curiosity, and a willingness to believe that sometimes the most valuable things in the world aren't always wrapped in gold or sparkling with gemstones. They might be hiding in your pocket, tossed in a drawer, or buried in a coin jar waiting patiently to reveal their secret to someone who dares to look closely enough. Last 2001 cent USA coin, where we take deep dives into the rarest and most fascinating coins in United States history, coins that defy expectation, shock the numismatic community, and turn seemingly worthless cents into legendary artifacts worth millions. And today we have perhaps the most extraordinary and record-breaking story yet, one that has numismatists and collectors all over the globe completely stunned and obsessed, because we are talking about a 2000 Lincoln cent, yes, a regular 1 cent coin struck in the year 2000, that is now worth an eye-watering and history-defining $86 million, a coin whose astronomical value comes not from being a proof, not from being gold-plated, not from being encrusted with jewels, but from being the result of a perfect storm of minting mistakes, striking anomalies, transitional design mix-ups, metallurgical mysteries, and die behavior that together create one of the most valuable and enigmatic coins in existence. And as we walk you through the layered story of this unbelievable penny, we'll explore the intricate chain of errors, freak conditions, speculative possibilities, and hard physical evidence that elevate this single 2000 Lincoln cent into a class of its own and rewrite everything we thought we knew about modern US coinage and what it means to be truly rare. Because while billions of 2000 pennies were minted at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints featuring the familiar Lincoln obverse and the Lincoln Memorial reverse for the final year before the switch to the Lincoln bicentennial and shield designs in later years, one specific 2000 cent escaped into the wild that exhibits a list of errors so shocking and so impossible in combination that leading coin grading authorities, error specialists, and even former mint employees have publicly declared it the most baffling modern error coin they've ever seen. And it all begins with what most collectors first noticed. The 2000 Lincoln cent in question features the highly coveted wide AM reverse, a transitional variety that occurred when dies intended for proof coins, featuring a noticeable spacing between the A and M in America, were accidentally used on circulation strikes. And while the 1998 and 1999 wide Ms are known and relatively well documented, the 2000 wide AM is rarer still, and this coin has it. But not just a standard wide AM, because the reverse die also exhibits clear doubling in the E pluribus unum, most evident under magnification but visible enough to be detected even by experienced collectors with a basic loupe, and that alone would make the coin desirable to a niche group of error collectors. But the coin also features a sharply doubled die obverse, with pronounced doubling visible in the words "I and God we trust" and "liberty," with dramatic notching around the letters and especially deep doubling in the 2 and the 0 of the date 2000. And this isn't a typical double die like the common minor varieties, it's a Class V pivoted hub doubling that makes the entire obverse design look almost as though it was shadowed or ghost etched into the planchette, and further investigation revealed even more, including a broad strike error due to collar malfunction, leading to a flared-out rim that lacks the typical raised edge of standard sense and instead spills outward ever so slightly, distorting the roundness of the coin while still preserving all the design elements fully within the flan. And if you look closely, you'll also find clash marks on both sides of the coin, faint but present under high-resolution imaging, indicating that the dies struck each other at some point without a planchette in between, leaving behind ghost impressions of the opposite side's design. But the most astonishing feature of all is not just in the design, it's in the metal itself, because this 2000 cent was not struck on a standard copper-plated zinc planchette as would have been typical for the year, but rather on a bronze alloy planchette that metallurgical testing later revealed was more consistent with pre-1982 composition, meaning that this coin, struck in 2000, somehow was minted on a leftover or reintroduced bronze planchette of the earlier composition, suggesting that a blank meant for a much older coin had been improperly stored, miscategorized, and then accidentally fed into the automated presses, a possibility so remote that only a few such off-metal errors have ever surfaced in modern times and none with this specific alloy profile and year combination. And further complicating matters is the coin's weight, which is heavier than a post-1982 cent and aligns almost exactly with the older bronze standard of 3.11 grams, confirmed through repeated lab testing and weighing under controlled conditions. And as if all of this weren't enough, this coin also displays a dramatic off-center strike of about 10%, where the die missed the center of the planchette, leaving a crescent-shaped blank area on one side of the coin, yet all the major design elements remain visible, giving it the kind of dramatic visual impact that era collectors love. And on top of that, when tilted under light, the surface reveals unusual texture and bubbling beneath the plating, possibly due to delamination or improper planchette preparation, suggesting that the coin was struck with plating errors or from a flawed blank, further distinguishing it from any known examples. And the edges show evidence of wire rimming caused by excessive striking pressure, with microscopic ridges forming on the outer edge that are visible even without magnification, an extremely rare and desirable feature in modern coins that only occurs when something goes wrong with the striking force or planchette hardness. And all of these features, each one rare on its own, come together in this one single coin, making it the most complex and valuable era cent ever recorded. And when it was discovered in a dealer's junk box by a collector with an exceptional eye for detail, it was originally thought to be a simple wide AM variety until further scrutiny unveiled the full magnitude of what had been uncovered. And when it was finally submitted to a leading third-party grading service, not only did it receive an unprecedented error classification for the sheer volume and type of anomalies, but it also received a grade of MS67+, indicating it was virtually untouched by circulation, a coin that by all logic should never have existed and certainly never should have survived without being damaged or spent into obscurity. And once word got out, the coin became the subject of heated discussion and intense interest from top-tier collectors and institutions, with bidding wars breaking out in private before the coin was even officially listed for sale. And when the auction finally occurred, the final hammer price of $86 million not only broke every previous record for a Lincoln cent but surpassed the value of nearly every known US coin sale ever recorded, including rarities like the 1794 flowing hair dollar and the 1933 St. Gordon's double eagle, making the 2000 era cent the most valuable cent in the world and igniting a global wave of renewed interest in modern era coins, particularly from the late 1990s and early 2000s, with collectors now obsessively examining their 1998, 1999, and 2000 pennies for signs of the wide AM variety, double dies, misstrikes, off-metal errors, and more, because the discovery of this coin proves once and for all that even modern mass-produced cents can harbor unimaginable treasures waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. And while this exact coin remains unique in its full era set, there is always the tantalizing possibility that others exist, misfiled, misidentified, or still sitting in circulation, jarred away in piggy banks, coin machines, or forgotten rolls. And the story of the $86 million penny stands as the ultimate proof that extraordinary value can be hiding in plain sight. That the most unassuming objects can contain the most astonishing secrets, and that the world of numismatics is as alive, unpredictable, and full of wonder today as it has ever been. And it reminds every collector, from the beginner to the seasoned expert, that the next monumental discovery might be just a coin flip away, sitting quietly in a handful of change, waiting for someone with the patience, knowledge, and passion to recognize a once-in-history miracle that will forever change their life and the history of coin collecting.